cares about your hard work. You're doing your job, you are doing something on top of that, good, okay. If you are handling this, you can do more. I was like all of a sudden, completely blocked, shocked, and I didn't know what to do. Studying is good, but practicing is better. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Marketing on Sofa, where I talk about marketing, career development, self-development, and I'm talking about this from my own perspective. This is the place where I share my thoughts, my learnings, my failures, and yeah, this channel is basically my hobby and something I want to, develop since this is about development. So yeah, welcome and stay around if you like it, if you find my topics interesting, or if you want to discuss something, I'd be happy to hear from you. It's been 5 or 6 months since I recorded my first video, and that was an experience. I thought it's much easier to talk on camera, to express your thoughts, to be organic, and yeah, in my head it was so much simpler, but in reality you really need to prepare for videos, you really need to know what you want to say, you really need to be concise, and this is something I'm learning along the way, and this channel is the way for me also to learn. But anyways, today I'm going to talk about career and career lessons I would like to have when I was in my early 20s, or maybe even at school or at the university, and how it affected my life. And I hope that my lessons, things that I learned, will help you to avoid these mistakes, or to change your thinking, or to look at things differently. So let's start. But before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Yulia. I'm originally from Ukraine, but for the last 6 years I've been living in Germany. I've been working here in marketing, in corporate communications, and this is something that I know very well. I've been in communications before. I was working in European institutions, in diplomatic field, and then I changed my life completely. I moved from Ukraine to Germany, and now I'm here. When I was a first-year student, or even when I was at school, I heard from everywhere that to be hired, you first need to get experience. Companies will not hire someone who has zero experience. So in my head, I was thinking, okay, then I need to get this experience. And how do I get this experience if they don't hire people who have like zero background in something? So I started my career in entry-level positions, and by entry-level I mean internships, and I had like 2 or 3 internships that I did for free, because I heard from everywhere, from my family, from many of my friends, like the society was basically telling me that before having a real job, well-paid job, you need to get an experience. And at that time, it was like 15 years ago, there were lots of unpaid working opportunities for students, and I've been involved into that. I was in youth organization, I worked for free just to get an experience, because I thought, okay, I just finished university, I don't know much, companies want experience, blah blah. So all these thoughts affected me, and I started with internships, then I was assistant, then I was a junior professional, and then I was growing my ladder, step by step. But now when I'm looking from my retrospective, I would say that no, I was a good student. I had already so many skills. I've been in youth organization. I was organizing lots of events. I was communicating with so many people. My English was quite good at that time. I could speak French. I could arrange things. So why would I even agree to do unpaid jobs and to, it was such a strange decision at the time. So I worked for free, but it didn't even help me further, because my next employers, they did not consider my internship as a real experience. So, for example, on some of my jobs, my salary would depend on the years of experience I had as a professional. And internships were not considered as professional experience. So all these years that I've been working for free were not even considered by my employers as real experience, which was very annoying, very frustrating. And honestly, I think that this is the worst thing, to work for free. You have to know your value from the start, you have to communicate it. And yeah, someone will say no, your skills are not enough, you are not enough, but the other company will say yes to you. So definitely know your value, know what you know, and learn to speak up. Second one is probably something I'm still learning and still struggling with. I always thought that working hard, and by working hard I mean taking more tasks, staying late, going extra mile, doing extra work, filling in gaps for someone, is what makes me a good employee. This is something that makes me hard worker, and this is something that other people shall see, or my supervisor shall see, and would promote me, or would say, oh, you are such a great person, you're such a great employee, you're doing so much. But the reality different. No one cares about your hard work. No one cares if you are filling in gaps by an employee who is not competent, or who cannot manage his or her own work. No one really cares about that. People forget that in 10 minutes. And here's what happened to me. For example, my employer asked me to take my leave a few weeks later because they wanted to hire someone who was supposed to help me with a few of my tasks, to replace me while I'll be away. So I agreed. I was thinking, yeah, okay, I like my employer, I respect my boss, I want to be, to have good contacts. And yeah, people forget about that. No one really cared. The person was not hired. I had to postpone my holidays. I had to rearrange my plans, and no one cared. No one even remembers that. But for me, it was a big step. I was so much uncomfortable with that, but I still agreed to that, So don't do that. The better way is to learn to network, because networking is something that really helps you. I have to look at my notes, I made some. Another important advice I'd love to hear when I was 20 is not to be silent, to speak up, to let my ideas be heard by other people. I was always thinking that my work will speak for itself. Like, people will notice what I'm doing, but in reality, they don't. I mean, you're doing your job, you are doing something on top of that, good, okay. If you're handling this, you can do more. So they would give you more. But what you need to do is just to show up at the meetings and to take credits for your work, to say, hey, I was there, I did this, look. It's a skill, I must say. And again, I'm still learning this because I'm handling so many projects at the same time, and I'm still having issues showing up for my work and telling that I did everything, So develop this skill. Another lesson is, I think, quite obvious, but still it's very important. And I'm telling you this because I work in marketing, and marketing is evolving all the time. So I have to evolve myself professionally as well. So I took so many courses in marketing, in AI, in communications, in public relations, in writing effect. I mean, I think I had, I don't know, like 10 or 15 courses, which to a certain extent helped me, but if you don't use them in practice, or if your work environment doesn't allow you to use them in practice, you'll quickly forget them. Studying is good, but practicing is better. Here is one more, which happened to me here in Germany. I received once a very bad feedback from my employer. I found a piece of paper on my table with my characteristics as an employee. And when I read it, I was shocked, because basically the whole text that was put in there were written like about someone else, so it was not about me. And when I was reading that, I was so emotional and I was shocked that, I mean, it's basically a huge criticism of my work, and there were things listed which I could not, I could not put that in my head together. When I was talking to my boss, I was extremely emotional. I think I was very, not that I think, I know that I was aggressive and I was defending myself. Then I left the room and I thought, but feedback is not about me. I'm a good employee. I know that I did this and that project. I know that in 2 years I had like 5 or I don't know 6 different supervisors because the company was undergoing changes. I know that half of my team was let go. So I know that I was working with people who have nothing to do with communications or marketing, like who heard that there is a department like that, that these people do some creative stuff and maybe they can do some TikToks or whatever. So people who were evaluating me, they basically knew nothing about marketing. They knew nothing about my work. They worked with me like for 1 month or so, maybe 3, whatever, but like very short time. How could they even evaluate me, right? So it took me some time to realize that this whole feedback was not about me. It was basically about the company I'm working in, about the culture, about my fit to this culture, about my future here, and about me learning to control my emotions. Even though I consider myself quite calm and I think I'm never that emotional. So basically, there are moments when your values and values of the company do not match anymore. And negative feedback is basically a sign for you to reevaluate this, whether you are still a fit into this company, or maybe you need to improve something in your performance, or maybe it's time for you to leave. And yeah, it's not always personal, and you don't have to take negative feedback personally, right? And I'm learning to do that. I mean, that I had a good lesson already. Be nice to your coworkers. It may also sound so obvious, and like, why do you even need to spell this out? But I do need, because we work with different people, and those people have different life situations. They have different moods. They have like, we don't know what's happening in their heads. And if someone is rude to you or telling you stupid things, or just not being nice, or, well, it's human behavior. This happens, and it's so easy. It's like the simplest thing you can do is just be nice to them. Just say hello, how are you doing, or just don't react to some aggressive behavior that they might have. Don't fall into this trap of playing someone else's mood games. Staying positive and respectful even in difficult situations helps to maintain a healthier work environment, and you will feel good about such bad situations. And it takes nothing. Really, it takes nothing to be nice, but it makes a big difference for other people. I think also one of my personal traits is being able to work with very difficult people in very stressful environments. Once I was sitting in my office and one of my colleagues jumps into me and she says, I need these documents to be scanned and prepared and arranged by this and that time. And she's just throwing papers into my face. Imagine. I mean, it's like really not professional behavior, but what can you do, right? How would you react? Write me in the comments. Anyways, and I was like, all of a sudden, completely blocked, shocked, and I didn't know what to do, but I just stayed calm. I didn't pick up papers which were already on the floor, and I didn't want to do that. And I said, okay, I'd support you, but now I have different priorities, and as soon as I have free time, I'll take care of your request. But believe me, everything inside me was like burning, and I was so angry, and I wanted, to throw those papers into her face, but I couldn't. Plus, I was really shocked. I do not expect people to work like that or to act like that. That's so strange. That's not something I'm used to. In a few hours, she came into my office. She picked up that papers. She did documents, all the work that she needed by her own. And she told me, I'll remember you. And the funny thing is that, like, almost 100% in my company find it very difficult to work with her. She was very hard to approach, but I became quite close with her and we had extremely good working relationships. And I think it worked because I showed where my boundaries are. You cannot treat people like that and behave like that. But I realized that not so many people can put, like, not all people can handle such situations, right? And yeah, I don't know why I reacted like that. Honestly, I don't know. I cannot explain that to myself in any logical way. I hope you find something useful from this video, and I hope that my personal stories inspired you to, to be a better employee, to be more assertive, to be more human, to know your value. And if you learned something or if you discovered something new, write me in the comments and subscribe, and I'll be happy to see you here. Bye bye.